Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pro Wrestling Report, PWR Friday. Damian Nelson sitting alongside David Hero, and it's Feedback Friday. The purpose of this episode is to talk about your comments about our broadcast over the course of the last 7 days. And we got some doozies, David Hero. Remember, you can always use the hashtag PWRTV whenever you are talking about what we are talking about right here on this very air. Are you ready, David Hero?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff on here.
Let's go to our first one, and as you know, last week we went in depth talking about John Cena, Randy Orton, and The Big Show, and the new established star focus in WWE versus that of the CM Punks, Dolph Ziggler's, and Daniel Bryan's of the world. Well, we did get a comment from a user on Twitter by the name of @alegend627, who said, might not matter, but CM Punk did appear on Jimmy Fallon when he was champion. We had talked about how you can't necessarily put some people on the Jay Leno's of the world. And
what time is Jimmy Fallon on?
Jimmy Fallon it's late night with Jimmy Fallon. I believe he's on somewhere around the 10:30, 11 o'clock hour, 11:30.
No, it's past that. It has to be because you got Letterman and Leno on at 10:30.
So you don't like Jimmy Fallon?
No, I didn't
Probably
say
the
that
best
at
late
all.
night show out there.
No. I'm just saying he's on later than that. He's not one of the top guys.
More comments about Daniel Bryan and CM Punk. This comes from a user on YouTube @AlphaProto, who says, and I quote, "Bryan is Thor, Punk is Loki. The fans will not have that connection until WWE paints the picture and lays the groundwork. The groundwork consists of Punk and Bryan having a connection as tag partners. I know they have indie history, but the casuals don't care about that. The money is in seeing the journey. I think WWE are going to have Punk and Bryan as tag team champions. Then Bryan will do something that makes Punk feel slighted. Then Punk is going to turn on Bryan. And then you have the feud match at WrestleMania 30. It will be Shakespearean, heartbreaking storyline finalized in the best WrestleMania match ever." That's how I would book it.
I think they should be tag team champions. You got to put something on these guys' waists pretty
There's no way
soon.
they're ever going to beat Cody and Dust.
Well, no, they're not going to. No, because it'll probably be Shield will beat Cody and Goldust.
No one will beat.
Well, it doesn't matter. Eventually, you're going to have to lose, but Cody or Daniel Bryan and CM Punk would be a great match at WrestleMania. But let's not forget, they already tried that program a year or so ago. Didn't have very good buy rates on the pay-per-view when it was Daniel Bryan versus CM Punk.
Well, I mean, this would not be one of the featured matchups. This would be one of the attractions of WrestleMania.
So you don't think that those two guys could be a feature matchup?
I didn't say that. I was simply clarifying what you attempted to say, which was that you don't think either of those guys could be a feature matchup.
No, they both have been, with a stronger person in the main event with them.
User by the name of @SaveMe1 says, someday in the future when Cena, Big Show, and Orton finally retire and Triple H is pushing 50, WWE looks around and suddenly realizes they have 0 bankable stars left. I wonder what their excuse will be.
Well, we've been saying that for how long? For quite a long. They need to elevate the mid-card.
And another comment from a user on YouTube
Does
named
anybody have a real name on here?
Murderous says, Orton Cena show are names that draw. The reason for that is the way they are built and showcased. There is simply no reason they can't do the same with Punk and Daniel Bryan. The most recent storyline with Daniel Bryan was, at this point, was a complete failure. And that was a booking failure, not Daniel Bryan's fault. Everyone was ready to believe in Daniel Bryan if booked correctly. It just never happened.
I don't know if that's true because and this is no slight on Daniel Bryan whatsoever, but sometimes the talent can elevate himself even with terrible booking. They can. They've done it. Guys have done it in the past.
Dusty Rhodes.
Dusty Rhodes was put in yellow polka dots.
Got over like $1
million.
Rylon King, that could be a real name for you there, David, said on YouTube, if allowed to be themselves, I think Punk and Bryan could be great tag champions. Can you imagine the conversations those two could have in backstage segments? Not to mention in-ring chemistry. Put them both in a TLC match type gimmick for the tag titles.
But why, if they're so good, why put them in a gimmick match? You don't do that. That's wasting them.
Interesting comment made by Tony Fernandez on YouTube says, JBL was the wrestling god. Triple H was the cerebral assassin. Why does Daniel Bryan have to be the goat face?
It's marketable.
He can still be energetic and humorous, but the WWE could also tell their audience how he can be in how
How
though
good he can be despite his look.
Despite his in-ring look, yes. If they paid more attention to that and to his wrestling skills, maybe some of the fans would be more excited for his match because the WWE would have told them that it would be great.
Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
Yes.
The King Harley Race.
Yes.
Go to face Daniel Bryan. They always give a gimmick to almost everybody. And Steamboat and Harley Race were two of the best ever. Look at Steve Austin. He was the ringmaster first before he became Stone Cold.
Right.
It happens.
Next one comes from Brian Yelverton, who says, all I have to say is that they can't rely on these quote-unquote established stars forever. They have to make new ones. Listen to the fans. As much as Punk and Bryan are quote-unquote internet darlings, they are loved by casual fans and have strong, loyal fan bases. Eventually, you get tired of seeing those quote-unquote established stars take away from everybody else.
I think the only established money star is John Cena. I don't think Randy Orton is an established money-making star.
Really?
Absolutely.
That's very interesting.
It isn't. It's the truth.
Oh, truth. Well, interesting. All right. Easy Attack takes an easy attack on us, says, you guys sound like a couple of knobs. CM Punk and Daniel Bryan got pushes until the rug was pulled out from under them.
And why was the rug pulled out from under them? Why? Maybe they weren't drawing the money that they thought they were going to draw? Okay. You know what? Fine. I sound like Brian Knobs. Big deal.
Finally, a user by the name of Sarati5 says, wrong, Damian and Hero. You need to cater to your fan base, not the quote-unquote casual fan. It's completely the other way around. For example, say a Major League Baseball team, they, the owners, will always ask its season ticket holders what they want in their product. They never ask the casual fan. If it clicks with the fan base, it will most likely follow with the other audience. By the way, I guess I don't have a soul. I was that quote-unquote lonely, soulless one that ordered WrestleMania 3 for Steamboat versus Macho Man, and I was 12.
You know what?
P.S. Not everyone is a Hulkamaniac. Just because you guys were and most of your friends doesn't mean everyone was a mark to the fraud that was Hulk Hogan.
Admitting he's soulless is the first step to getting better. You know what I mean?
One?
That's impressive. That's fantastic. But
we did say, and I did say last week, that show me somebody, and I guess you did, that bought WrestleMania 3 simply for that single matchup.
But going back to the casual fan, and you can't compare Major League Baseball to WWE. Because first of all, there's no way they can find a pirated stream of a Major League Baseball game. Okay? The Major League Baseball product is available on TV in every local market pretty much for free. WWE is not. So you need to get the casual fan that says, hey, let's do something different tonight. The hardcore fans will always be there, but the hardcore fans are not going to sell out a building by themselves.
True that, true that, true that. Thank you for those comments. As you know, Survivor Series was this past Sunday night on pay-per-view, and tomorrow on primetime, it's going to be our big story looking back at the Survivor Series. But we did get a couple of comments, at least one worth noting. This comes from a user on Twitter, @ZeroCool1284, who says, the main event of Survivor Series is not a hit with the crowd. Think Punk, Bryan versus the Wyatts stole the show. Hashtag PWR TV.
They must have been watching a different match than I was. I heard like a bunch of pin drops during that thing. And that pinfall, I mean, as I think CM Punk and Daniel Bryan are the greatest tag team in wrestling right now if they stick together. Hands down, they can do some amazing things. But that match, how long did it take two former world champions to defeat two rednecks? Right?
It's always good to end on a positive note, and this comes from...
Both guys beat John Cena, but they couldn't really beat the Wyatts in less than 10 minutes?
On YouTube, Julio Gogo says, great show, guys. I'd like to point out that PWR, your great success has been in part of adapting with the times. PWR isn't the same as it was 2 years ago. The same can be said for WWE. Simple point. Look at what happens when a company doesn't grow with the times. Blockbuster Video. Wow, what a difference.
How about that?
All right, well, that's Feedback Friday, so keep those comments coming on our social media channels. That's Facebook, Twitter, and, of course, right here on YouTube. And we will select some of those comments to be discussed next week right here on PWR Friday. Tomorrow night, David Hero, big show, big story. Survivor Series was last Sunday. We'll also have the highs and lows, a full preview of Blizzard Brawl, which is next Saturday here in Milwaukee, coming from the Waukesha County Expo Center, and so much more. So be sure to tune in and join us then. Until then, in the meantime and in between time for that one, this is Damian Nelson saying thank you so much. We'll see you tomorrow night.